All right. Welcome everyone to TableTalk, where we talk all things tabletop. I'm your host, The Bella Gamer, with my co-host Glue Boy,
Hello, hello.
and we have a jam-packed stream today. We'll be announcing more towards like the ends of stream, like the last 30 minutes. We'll probably start talking about the Lancer build contest and announcing our top 10 picks, and I'll go ahead and we'll talk about what happens next for the contest. So that's gonna be pretty cool. Also, we're gonna talk Daggerheart. It's been a very unnecessarily controversial game coming out, so definitely have a lot of opportunity to talk about what people think about it. And in addition, I'm getting a lot of stuff from companies, so we'll talk about some of the future projects coming up here on the channel. But as always, as we wait for people to hop into stream here, we chat a little bit. So Alex, what's been going on?
Uh, Sick, bro.
Yeah,
It's been.
yeah.
I definitely sound it. Uh, Hello. Yeah, the Virgil in the corners because I don't have a webcam, and that's my YouTube profile picture. Hello, I am Glue Boy. That's my. I have a YouTube channel. Um, that's my profile picture on the said YouTube channel. Yeah. I've been sick for the past week with specifically a cold that directly hits my lungs and throat. Ain't COVID, I know that. The part that makes this even worse, for those that don't know, I cover Warhammer lore and like Vampire the Masquerade lore, Lancer lore, the whole shebang. A lot of stuff that's discussed in this channel actually. Mainly Warhammer. I was involved in a giant Warhammer collaboration by YouTuber Arthur Bones, but Mr. Bones 40k. Really cool guy. Go check out that video. It's like really good. There's a lot of dope people on there. And I have another project coming up that's going to be involved with another collaborator on there coming up, actually. It's in the works currently. Right after the effects of the collab, where I had a bunch of people come over, check out my channel, see my work, and like get excited for new stuff coming out, I get a cold that directly impacts my ability to speak. So, the worst possible timing. And then to double the little shit cup on top of that, I couldn't play Daggerheart because I couldn't talk. Every time I opened my mouth, either the words wouldn't come out or I'd start coughing, and it just hurt to speak. And I gotta look on in sadness as y'all played Daggerheart and had fun.
Whoa, whoa,
Ew,
whoa! Calm
get
down,
out of here.
Sicky. Don't blow your voice out at the beginning of the stream.
I'm not going to. I'm fine. I sound worse than I am, especially because I've been coughing for a week straight. I feel like mostly fine now. Like health-wise, I'm fine. It's just I'm still coughing.
I still need to actually like get the Nurgle counter going soon.
I mean, I haven't had to miss yet, so I'm fine.
Yeah. I need to get a sound clip of you coughing into the mics.
I wouldn't do that. I'm on push to talk. I respect everybody's like audio experience.
No, I just need to tune it up so that it can just be the Nurgle counter sound. Every time it just comes up, it's just like
Just go grab audio lines from Total War Warhammer 3 and just use any of those. Just go get Kugath voice lines, because it's a lot of just like it's a lot of that. Just a lot of like weird, like bubbly Nurgle dudes making funny noises.
Yeah,
And then
but
just use that.
it'd be better if it was your coughing.
And don't
Yeah,
worry,
thank
I
you.
am fine. I am completely fine. I sound worse than I am because I've been coughing for a while. I sound a little rough. That's all it is. Like I'm completely good.
Oh,
Like I'm
beyond
gonna go record a video tonight because I can finally actually do so.
that's fair. I'm happy the weather's starting to get warmer now. It's just starting to feel like spring over here.
Yeah, finally.
I have been super busy. In fact, I actually had a video ready for today, funny enough. But my review for Daggerheart actually has been getting better with time, view-wise. So I figured I don't want to shadow it right away. So it
Yeah,
does look like
streams
it's
is good.
dying down a little bit. So I'll probably just resume schedule tomorrow, or maybe even put a video out later this evening. I don't know. But got lots of Daggerheart content, like, still on the cutting room floor that needs to kind of come out. And I'm gonna take the live play we did and cut it down to make it a little bit more palatable. In addition, I am going to be receiving physical materials from Darrington Press soon-ish to talk about, like for press kit purposes. So got that coming up. Also, I have the Monster Core for Pathfinder 2E, so if you're a Pathfinder player, we got some cool new monsters and dragons coming up that I'll be chatting about. And, God, I feel like there is something else, but I can't think of it at this moment. I've been busy. Holy moly. Got a lot on the... a lot to do. But it's good busy. The beginning of this year, I was kind of feeling bad because the channel was going really slow. Because there's just nothing happening in Tabletop. Now everything's happening in Tabletop. Now there's no breaks. And
There's so much coming out and like random weird stuff that's hopping. You know what was announced literally just today? A fucking Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne tabletop game.
I
what
saw
the
that.
fuck? What? Why? I want to look at it because I like that game. It's a good game. Also, I'm not mad. I'm not mad. I want to preface that. I'm not. That the headline said that Shin Megami Tensei is based off of Persona. I'm not mad. I promise. I'm not lying.
Thank you, Andrew Langton, for the subscription. Welcome.
I'm only slightly mad.
I thought you were going to be talking about Nethys getting knocked off for the
lies. Not true. But also, I'm technically true. I'm correct. Because as Dead Phoenix mentioned in our Discord, speaking of hello, Dead Phoenix, my reasoning a while ago was they would kill Nethys and introduce a new god with the remaster site. And he dies and the remaster site comes up. I'm technically correct. But also, it's to throw us off the true death scent. It's a trick. It's a ploy.
No, I'm sorry. I'm now more correct than you. Torag has lived longer.
Not true.
Or is still there. Could be Torag. It's not gonna be Torag.
It's not gonna be Torag. Also, you know what makes me significantly more fucking upset about this?
What?
The fact that literally fucking a week ago, last Table Talk, we talked to Michael Sayer. We talked a week ago into like the guy who knows the answer, and I very pointedly am like, I'm correct about this, and like I can't be wrong. And my whole joke reasoning thing, and then suddenly my pick gets chosen to be declared safe. Is this targeted at me?
Probably not, because Luis is the one who's in control of the God's Ring stuff, so not really Michael's area.
He might have sent an email.
Maybe.
That's all I'm saying.
Maybe.
I think I'm being targeted by Paizo. I think they were on to me.
And yes, Ben, one of the gods are going to be dying. One of the core gods are going to be dying. And it's this big event in the setting. It's not quite a Mystra situation, because I feel like Mystra is more like plot. Mystra dies for the sake of messing with magic, really, only. And we just confirmed that this is not dying, so not a Mystra situation.
I don't believe that they planned that out a month ago. I disagree because it would mean that my paranoia is wrong.
And also, yeah, so man, Lancer build contest. We had the Lancer build announcements. We'll be doing that later in stream today.
Yes.
Because we'll be moving on to the next part, which will be a competitive part where Alex and my chosen builds will go head to head in the Discord server. So if you're not in our Discord, join in the link below or in the link on Twitch, and we'll be having essentially like daily polls with pitting the builds against each other, and the top 5 builds will go in a video, and either I or Alex will be the best build picker. We'll have to see.
Yep. And I will also mention, just in case, because it is a 2-hour stream, if you don't want to just wait around for that, if anything, when we start doing the Lancer like build pick, I will announce it in the Lancer builds chat. So if you just want to wait for me to start talking in Lancer builds, feel free, because we're gonna be talking about Daggerheart until the last 20 minutes of the stream. So like no pressure if you're just there to see like the Lancer builds for like people who participated.
True.
At least if you want to like take part in it live. Other than that, for the people who did participate, once we do announce, one thing I will at least personally request out is the builds I picked. If you could generate me some share codes to make it easier for me to track your builds, I'd appreciate it. Which I'll directly request some from you guys soon later today. Because I was going through some of your builds and I'm like, I understand what's happening here, but this is a lot of me tabbing through CompCon like myself to be like, what the fuck does this thing do again? And I'm like, I wish everyone had a share code. Oh, people are putting propaganda in the TableTalk chat.
And the TableTalk chat. We'll have to see. But yeah, so we got a lot of
probably some inspect element going on there. Definitely. Like me being wrong about this couldn't be.
No.
Couldn't be that. No. A company wouldn't plan out a major story event months in advance and be releasing it slowly. They just would fly on the seat of their pants, picking it every week, and then spite some random guy co-host on a small live stream. That makes more sense.
I will say, Sven, you got a few builds in, so sorry if it's gonna be delayed for you, considering I know it's really late, or I guess early in European times right now. But you know, we just have to go with the flow of the stream. You'll see which one of your builds get through though. So I'm excited. And I'm glad to have like a competition on the Discord. I plan to do more stuff like this in the future as well. Just it's you know, honestly, in the last year, like pretty much from this date, my life has so dramatically changed. Like I didn't even have a house a year ago from right now, and the channel was not even like half the size it is right now. It's like I think barely over 2K. So just
a lot has changed. Yeah,
a lot has changed, and now I'm getting more stuff like on the YouTube side of things, and I'm working with more people, getting to chat with some more people. So good night. Glad you could show up for a little bit anyway. Understandable though. It's just been a lot, you know, and I feel like this year especially it's going to be a lot more. I think a lot of stuff is going to be happening. It's because with every new month that comes out, new books will be releasing, and we'll be getting more and more stuff to chat on here. And this is all in the midst of me working on projects that are like bigger for the channel as well, taking some more time. So yeah, it's just a lot. We also probably gonna have another Paizo dev coming on sometime next month, so be on the lookout for that. It's gonna be really, really cool. I'm very excited to be chatting with a lot more people from Paizo. I could have done it before, but I feel like this is a really good year to chat with people from Paizo. So, oh my god, and Starfinder stuff is coming soon.
Yeah, I was
Oh,
looking through the
the
Envoy.
Envoy is
The Envoy playtest stuff. It looked really
field
clean.
test, yeah. Envoy's always been a really fun class in Starfinder, so I'm very excited for a lot of the new second edition versions of how the game is gonna play.
Did
It's definitely
they
something
already
we'll end up
do?
checking out.
Yeah, did they already do the operative? Because that's the only one I've played.
Maybe. And hey, Dice Media Group, what's going on? Yeah, no operative yet.
Okay, because
I'm
that's
pretty
the
sure
one
it's just been
I've
Soldier
played.
and Envoy so far.
Okay, because it's operative and then this the Solarian. I
Yeah, there's
Solar. That one's the coolest one because if we ever do a Starfinder 2e game, or even like just a small campaign thing, I'm doing that one because it looks the coolest. I want to play it.
it's super exciting. And yeah, Monster Core, you guys can expect some Monster Core videos starting next week. I just got access to the Monster Core today, and embargo's lifted, so I will get some videos out next week.
Nice. Yeah, the operative one, if that drops, that's gonna be the one that'd be the easiest for me to like check through, since that's the only Starfighter class I have direct experience playing. So I could then notice the direct changes the best. Because like I'm that's the one I played in our one shot. Yeah, I would say the operative is basically the rogue,
Yeah,
essentially. So like
kind
it's
of.
very kind of, yeah, it's an equivalent in a way. It's got a lot of the
It's
carryover
the
because operative also has skill
skill
monkey.
based one, yeah.
It was fun. It's and then the Solarian is just fucking dope. It's such a
Yeah,
cool concept.
I really do like Solarian.
A
So
black hole, using the black hole and the sun like energies. It's so cool.
it's very, very cool. I'm super excited about Starfinder. Actually, we'll definitely play. I think we'll play a season here on the channel for it when it comes out.
Yeah,
We'll have to
I'm
see.
always down for sci-fi. That's the thing I've kind of wanted, is just like I kind of just wanted Pathfinder in space.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and you know that's gonna be next year is gonna be such a wild year because currently for our live play seasons, we kind of go on and off of Pathfinder. Pathfinder being the main kind of channel, or the main kind of game on the channel, which has kind of been changing with time, which is something I'm happy about. But and then every other season, well, we always do a like whatever game someone in the group wants to do. You know, an opportunity to play some of the older games that people have always wanted to try. Just have the ability to get hands on for like 10 sessions or so on a lot of game systems. And next year though, I think I'll have to veto a lot of votes and just play games coming out because it's gonna be a big year for a lot of games. So
Yeah, kind of. I mean, also just Starfinder, when that happens, we kind of have to. Which also, I think a lot of us in the group want to. So it's not even that, it wouldn't even be that major of a decision.
so yeah, it's definitely going to be a busy year next year, not including all the shit that's coming out this year. We have the D&D stuff sometime in September too. That's gonna be coming out. So I don't know what's gonna happen in the next year of this channel, but I know that we're gonna be making a ton of content, and that's pretty hype. But yeah, so we're about at that time. Let's go ahead and talk Daggerheart, shall we?
Yeah,
So
I am curious to hear some of your thoughts.
yeah, Daggerheart is a really fun idea for a game. I think it's a very it's a game that definitely mixes a little bit of crunchiness into more narrative focused, rules light-y kind of gameplay. And it's definitely something right up my alley. It's a game that I can play, but I will say it's a game that kind of it sits in the territory of, as of right now, which is not, it's only an open beta. It's a game that I could play for a couple seasons maybe on like
Yeah,
any kind of gameplay, because like while it's very interesting, the level of theory crafting you can get into is a little bit shallow. And well, that's, you still have tons, like you can still play a ton of the game and not like touch all the options. It's not like Pathfinder where you can keep digging in the system and keep making some really interesting builds.
I think it's really funny you mentioned that because that's literally something I was talking to Devin about last night. Uh, just like out of the blue. I forget what even prompted it. Because specifically, he was talking. Oh yeah, he was talking about the clanks in it, and he made a
Yeah.
clank character, and we were talking about like character ideas for the game, and I brought up, it's like, I think it's a cool game in the idea that, and then also just how I am coming up with characters, like, this, I'm a very in the moment character inspiration guy. I don't come by it that often. I'm not super big on builds. I give very naturalistic inspiration, and then I kind of go with it. For Daggerheart, I have like two character concepts. I have the character I was going to play for the one shot, and then I have like the general idea of playing a seraph that's like the demon heritage, and that's kind of it. Like the avenging angel DPS vibe. And it's like, other than that, it's just like I don't have as much theory crafting like character concepts as I do as Pathfinder. Before this stream, I was literally building a fucking character because I watched yet again, like I always do. Um, I saw the Elder Scrolls Online 3v1 Night trailer that makes me think that Elder Scrolls Online is a good video game.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn. Oh yeah, that reminds me. I had a build center on this guy, and then I created a Fletchling Dread Fighter build. That's just like the fear of God kind of character.
Mm-hmm.
Just a lot of abilities about like just a terror kind of guy, which is very fun. There's a lot of really cool fighter abilities about specifically using them on characters that are feared,
Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
fun, and there's lots of cool combos with it.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? That's what games like Pathfinder like to offer a lot, is it's a game that you can really sink your teeth into and really get like a lot of fun builds. Because the thing is like the fun thing about crunchier games is that you can make a build that realizes the fantasy of your character. And that's what we talked about with Michael Sayer last week, was the
Yeah,
idea that the optimal game is where the rules support your narrative. And in Daggerheart, you still get a little bit of that. Like, we play Monster of the Week pretty much like every week, and I like Monster of the Week. I think it's generally a fun game, but it's definitely a game that is not like, oh, the build. It's, what playbook do I want to use, and how is my interpretation of that playbook? And
yeah,
well, that's definitely fun. And while there are some mixing and matching you can do, like most of the time you can take moves from other playbooks to kind of make your own unique flair. It's all kind of surface level when you get to actually how the game runs, because most sessions I only get to use maybe one or two of my actual moves for the game. I have a lot of passive moves though with my particular build, but that's also just like what the expert has, is a lot more passive features. Like the one thing I do like most of the time is pull some shit out of my backpack, and that's about it. And I fight with like antiquated weapons better. You know, those are
Right.
like the two things I do all the time, and I don't use like the 5, 6 other things on my character sheet most of the time. So
Yeah. The Yeah, because like the methods you would do to make a like to play a character, because I don't know how much the other Powered by the Apocalypse games hit that, is it's a lot more of the idea of either how am I going to interpret this playbook, or this is a character idea I have, which playbook works, rather
yeah,
than like I'm going to make a build. It's which class works for the guy,
yeah,
which, it depends on what you're playing for. I personally run more in that aspect of I made a human being, what class set works for him? Because that's how I operate, but then it depends on just who you are as a player, what your personal game tastes are, and then it's, how you play your own games, which is always an interesting discussion when it comes up to. And then Daggerheart, I'm seeing a very interesting cross section because it
yeah.
seems to be landing like right in the middle with like kind of trying to hit
Kind
the
of.
crunch and the light,
Yeah.
in the middle.
It's so the from my experience, and to be fair, my sister mastery is only about like 2 weeks big at this point. After looking at everything, and even piling on my decades of experience when it comes to tabletop, it's one of the few games I've been looking at that I feel I can't make full judgments just by looking at the rules, which is a good thing. It's a good thing that the game feels like you need to get hands on to really get the experience for it, because I feel like that's exactly the kind of game that they wanted to make. Is a game that is about the narrative, and it's about how your characters can tell cool stories and how the builds kind of help support that. Uh but like there's a variety of things that just feel wonky because it's a rules light game that doesn't mix with, I think, the idea. So it's something that, for instance, right, I'm playing a wizard in the game, but I can opt in to choose to just invest in strength, because, well, it was instinct, but then they changed how rune gloves work. So I've invested in strength because I'm a giant and my reach is bigger. So I just figured I'd punch people. And beyond domain card effects, which domain cards do alter how some of your features work, uh, I equivalently can hit as well as another martial character can, because of how the bonuses act. It doesn't mean I'm necessarily as good, but accuracy wise, I can hit about as often. And damage wise, even at low levels, it's about the same, because damage isn't even based on your stats as much as just whatever weapon you're using.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, so then what is the difference? Like, I am a wizard who has wizard spells that I can use, and some of them do use knowledge, so I'm taking a hit to the use of those for the purpose of being able to hit people as a big magic man. But what does that overall like affect? If you go to like blades, for instance, which is the, the warrior one, uh like one of their effects is not good enough, where when you roll damage dice you can re-roll ones and twos. Okay, so your damage is a little bit higher on average. Retaliation is based on getting hits, which is not really as big of a thing. Reckless is interesting at level 2. You can mark a stress to take advantage on an attack roll against the target, so you can use stress to essentially push yourself to make your accuracy higher. So there are ways that, like, of course, martial characters are better at doing martial things. but it's not so dramatic as you would think in like Pathfinder, where, in all honesty, like no, who can't be kidding ourselves here. Magic casters are not great at martial combat. There's definitely ways you can close the gap and be kind of close, but even then, optimization and efficiency wise, martials just have like the ability to hit more often, or harder, or whatever, because of how just general stat layout is, and that's fine in for Pathfinder. It's not as restricting as it sounds, because you can make a character that plays the way you want to play. You just have to have a good idea of what you want to do. In this game, it's a little bit harder. Now, they do have multi-classing, which does give you access to some cards from other domains, up to half a year level, essentially.
Okay.
So, for instance, if I wanted to keep going with this wizard, punchy wizard idea, I could, at level 5, pick up the blade cards that let me hit better. And at level 5, while I'd have level 5 Codex and Splendor, I would have level up to 3 in blade that I could select. Where I could take something like Reckless, so I could start spending stress. Because that's also another thing, not all classes interact with systems the same. Wizards don't really use stress that often, so it would not be a bad multi-class choice. And so, like, while I maybe not have as many good features, and you can only have a loadout of 5 cards, granted you can swap them in using stress, you can kind of blur some of the classes together if you work it. And that's something,
I mean, that can be cool. Like that idea.
it's interesting, but at the same time it's like, but what's making the classes interesting in comparison to each other if another class can get kind of close just by multi-classing and statting outright? Pathfinder has this really great thing where whatever your class is, you're going to have some features that are so unique to you that no class, even with multi-classing, can pick up. This game, though, has some of it because there's some you get to pick up some of the base class features from another class when you multi-class as well, and you miss out on some specialization you can do with your classes, but the effects are just not high enough. Like, they don't have as much impact to make it feel like you're missing as much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not bad. And the whole point of what I'm talking about right now is mostly just the game's fun. There's definitely some potential for like making some interesting builds. It's just shallower than you would expect from something like Pathfinder.
Yeah, it's definitely like I would say it's on a similar level to like you're not going to get the mechanical, I guess, element like you would a crunchier game, because I see exactly what you're talking about, but also to the same extent it depends on, it's not even like, it feels like it's both a put down and kind of a cop out. I hope it's what I'm trying to say is going to come across. um it's kind of an element where some people will get more out of it than others, where some people will look at it and just be like, "Oh, I never noticed," essentially, and then they'll enjoy it because it's kind of, again, it's a thing I think you're really hit it right on the nose with, of this game is for a very specific audience.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
think, which is a great thing and very very good, because I think, games at the end of the day are for their audience and not meant to be for literally everybody. It's also like what you said, of this game is not the D&D killer, because
It's not. Yeah.
it's not going to really be that. uh it's going to have some people happy with it, and then if you point out like, oh yeah, all these things are like, oh yeah, that is true, that's actually a good point, they are very similar when you actually point it down. There's not really a need for all these class differences. um there's also a thing I saw kind of pointed out that I thought was really interesting. I saw a tweet kind of pointing out about this. The Daggerheart is stationed in a really interesting design way that it's kind of a game designed beautifully for actual play content in the way that it is just open enough for people, say like Critical Role, to improv an act during like combats and stuff, but just crunchy enough so then the people who want to watch them be proficient and play a game can watch them play a game. Like, it feels like a game made by Critical Role for Critical Role, which I don't think
See,
is a bad thing.
I completely disagree with this idea. And this came up during Candle Obscure. People were saying the same exact thing. And the major reason why I disagree with it is all the reasons why people say this is good for live play is literally the reason why people would enjoy like games in the first place.
Yeah.
Which is, this is a more improv narrative game. Yeah, of course, that's what Rules Light is supposed to be.
It is.
For people who enjoy Rules Light. So saying it was designed for use with live play makes it seem like it is, one, not a game intended for an audience, but intended for creators, which is not true. And two, completely misses the point of what people actually like in tabletop, which is narrative storytelling.
I mean, I thought it was more of an interesting observation. I didn't see any of the Candle Obscura stuff with that.
Candle Obscura, a lot of people were saying the same thing. I talked about it in the Polygon review. That they were saying that it was designed for whatever. And that's just not true. And it's a terrible argument because, again, it misses out on what people like about Rules Light. Now, don't get me wrong, right? It's not that Rules Light isn't actually like inherently better for live play stuff because you're doing less upkeeping, which is actually not true for this game. This game actually has a lot of upkeep that needs to happen to play appropriately.
It definitely seems like it with like what the resource management you have to do with like Fear and Hope, and then the turn, not a turn order thing.
Okay, so the action token system is action tracker is what it's called, but it uses action tokens. Is more of just a way where you can visually view the balance of battle with player tokens essentially, because the battlefield is even when there are 0 action tokens. That means both players and the GM have gotten equal opportunity to act in the scene, relevantly speaking.
Okay.
When players use an action, they place a token on the action tracker, and then at any time, the GM can have the enemies act by spending action tokens from the tracker. So it's a visual way to keep both sides kind of in check during a combat situation. So it's this whole like turn versus not a turn thing is definitely not new, and is just people blowing shit up because they don't understand Rules Light is mostly just where it comes from, because literally Powered by the Apocalypse, Blades in the Dark, so many really, really popular games don't have initiative.
That's the part that's getting on me, because like I keep seeing it on Twitter where people are like, because one part I saw where I think the statement is okay, but then I then saw their later replies. It's someone I replied to on Twitter and was trying to like, was in some comments like talking about it, where it's just saying like, oh, this is the part where it's not for me. I don't think this is my side of the table. I cannot see how I could run a game that doesn't have like a turn-based initiative system. And it's just like, okay, interesting. Then people were like, this game wouldn't work because there are people that exist that are rude.
Right.
What?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you talking about? Like, that it's not a rule designer's job to enforce social etiquette. 'Cause like, that's a person problem, not a game problem. The game cannot enforce whether or not you talk to someone and say, hey man, you're being kind of a dick. Can you let other people speak?
Yeah.
That's not on the game.
Yeah, well, and the thing is like, in out of combat stuff in every other tabletop like D&D or Pathfinder, that is still the same situation.
Yeah.
So obviously it works, right? Obviously people can let other people chat, and obviously it does cause some people problems, but that is a personal thing, and again, that's like a proficiency thing, right? uh William Nelson has said here, like it or not, popular live plays does shape people's expectations for what it'll be like to play themselves, so make rules to help people recreate the same experience is a valid approach. Yes, I agree, and I think though that you're missing how Daggerheart actually is doing this. Uh, Rules Light is not a Critical Role thing. First of all, Rules Light games have always operated in this fashion. No matter what system you're looking at, there's always been this idea of it's more narrative, and we have a little bit of rules to kind of enforce that. It's the same thing with Monster of the Week, which obviously predates Daggerheart, and lots of Powered by the Apocalypse. The thing that makes this, what William here is actually true, though, is a lot of what is in Daggerheart has been popularized by Critical Role's campaigns. The Furbolg, for instance, a ancestry that just was kind of thrown into D&D, and then Critical Role just kind of took it and made it their own, and now everyone's doing it that way, right? The Clank is very reminiscent of Fresh Cut Grass from Campaign 3, you know. The experience that people are recreating for themselves is not based on it being a rules light system, but instead being able to use the same homebrew options that Matt Mercer has used in a lot of his games. You mean Critical Role didn't invent role-playing? That's a funny thing. I love how so many super sweaty neckbeards are assuming people are thinking this all the time.
Yeah, it is weird that people talk about it like that.
No one besides the freshest of new faces in the scene are saying that at all. And it's not an argument anyone is using at all. But it's insane how many people act like Critical Role is doing this. And that's the thing, right? Is Critical Role has this strange effect where it has elevated tabletop to a level it has just not been before. But because they play like differently than most tables play, apparently, which is weird to me considering I feel like I play more similarly to how Matt Mercer runs his games. It makes a lot of people be like, Critical Role is the devil. Critical Role is ruining tabletop by introducing rules light concepts.
And like when there's me looking on the sidelines being like, Critical Role is going rules light? What a shocker. That seems like it's way more freeing for their specific style of production. Because like it seems like one of the bigger hurdles for a specific show like that is operating on a game that has a lot of rules. Because like you're mainly like an improv storytelling show, and from what it seems like in all the stuff I've watched, the more storytelling you can do, the better, right? That's at least what I get out of a live play. So on a production and a product level, when I'm analyzing it, that's what I get. So then when they started doing like, we're making our own game and the rules light, I'm like, this is not shocking.
Yeah.
This seems pretty likely, which is more in line with what I meant of just like, this just seems more in line with what specifically the product that they're creating.
Well,
like,
but
on a business side.
I think the assumption that they're making it for themselves is the wrong approach. I think
That's
they're
fair.
making a game that they themselves would like to play. And it also,
I think it's a better way of putting it,
works with how Critical Role runs, because the thing is like Critical Role, and I mean, to be fair though, there's some people who really do like the more gamey aspects of their campaign. They like to see how the game they play, the game that they nerd out about the rules about and are obsessed with, is done by professional people, quote unquote. They want to see some of their stuff, even though like half of what they do is homebrew. That's
I find
another
that
thing.
really fun because I always got so fucking bored in Critical Role of them playing the game. Like the combats and stuff were the most boring shit. Just what like listening to D&D combat, I gotta be real, is really fucking boring. I just don't care. And like a lot of the combats, I just skipped through a large portion of it because I was like, did any of the players die here? No, okay, I don't care.
Yeah, and that's the
I
thing.
don't
Like
care.
that's the thing, right? That's I think that hits the nail on the head of the whole crux of this situation. People enjoy tabletop in different ways,
Yeah.
and thus the things people like are going to vary. What I like about Daggerheart, and the thing that I think makes Daggerheart really special, is it's rules light, so it's more flowy and freeform, but it has enough chunk to it to make me want to try building characters in a specific way to see, what it has to offer. It still offers a lot of the same narrative beats that I really enjoy in tabletop, but doesn't peel doesn't peel away a lot of what I like enough to make me just kind of like, again, I play Monster of the Week all the time. I've enjoyed our game. I don't think I could play a ton of Monster of the Week in the end.
I think it's as we've put it, our enjoyment of Monster of the Week, and specifically I think yours too, is carried by our group and specifically our GM.
Well, and
Because
even to
like,
that degree, I don't think I could play it forever. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
like if we start up another like, hey, more Monster of the Week, I feel like even I'd be like, can we do like another game that's
Can we do
more of a game?
Lancer?
Can we do Lancer?
Yeah,
Like,
give me
which
robots, please.
also isn't a hard pick of us being like, yeah, but like Lancer though, and then all of us being like, yeah, true, Lancer's right there.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? But the thing is I can enjoy Monster of the Week in a small
Yeah,
enough dose.
exactly.
And with Daggerheart, it's more or less the same thing, maybe to a slightly more degree. I could see myself playing a couple seasons of Daggerheart because there's always like there's level ups, there's new cards I can add to my character. There's new kind of ways I can view like builds or scenarios going on. Uh so like I said, like if Monster of the Week is like a 1 season game to me, Daggerheart would be like a 2, maybe 3 season game.
Mech of the week is just if we didn't use the mech rules and only use the pilot rules.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I hop in my Genghis and I'm gonna roll some apply fist to faces. I succeed. Cool. I kill the other mech.
Basically, like there's nothing else to it.
Yeah, uh, and like in the end, right? We live in a free country. People can voice their opinions and say they dislike it, and I'm completely okay with every single person who says it's not for me, because you know
Yeah.
what? True facts. It's just not for everyone, but it is for a good amount of people. I think more people than a lot of people are giving credit for. When I said in my video was Daggerheart has a place, I think, in the casual scene. It's a game that offers enough chunk to keep people kind of invested in their characters and the builds, while not being so restrictive that a player can't think of what actions they can do because they don't know if it works in the game. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think it's very like it's a game where I think it's really cool that it's coming out. It's very interesting. It's a game that I would not regret purchasing, like in any way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think if actually playing a campaign of it, I think I'd probably come to the same resolution as you. Is the we like I'd probably have a couple games in me, like a couple like short campaigns, and then like, all right, let's maybe not play this for like a good while
Yeah.
before like I'm willing to do it again. And like that's okay. That's fine. Not every game needs to be your forever game. Sometimes you spend a year or maybe like a year total of playing a game that can be spanned over, your life.
Yeah.
And
I
that's
also think
fine.
about that a year of your time. Like, how many games, like video games, have you played for like a year, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's just the nature of tabletop, though, of course. But
Yeah.
that's something that's like, it blows my mind when people just want more. I see. Someone didn't subscribe using Prime on Twitch. Which, by the way, we do accept Prime subs. All your Prime subs. Please give me Bezos money, please. But it's it's and like William Nelson here has just said, like, it's a great game for those intermissions when your DM's trying to figure out what happens next. Also, running tabletop is stressful, so just having a game that just is a lot more like peeled back is sometimes just good for the brain. You know, you don't have to like have a whole rulebook filtered through your brain at all times to make it work. So, you know, it is something that I feel like has actually a pretty good place in the tabletop scene. I think for a lot of people, especially people who like going to like Adventures League, for instance, who are not necessarily the best gamers when it comes to tabletop, but love the aspect of creating characters in tabletop and role playing, would actually do better by Daggerheart, in my opinion.
I think it's a dope, like, just a dope convention game. Like, it's a fun game to like go in, meet some new people, hang out. Like, it's a cool game for that. Like, I could this be a game I'd be comfortable meeting some new people playing, because I don't feel like it's that heavy of a like mental investment, and I can vibe with some new people. Because like Pathfinder, I'm a little, I don't know if you're on, if that makes sense. I need like more. I like to jump into a new table full of people I don't know, just because like the game's a lot more intensive.
I think even more than that, Pathfinder is a game that the enjoyable part is the slow burn of leveling up and getting your new stuff for your character.
That too.
And I will say, Daggerheart's very front-loaded. We had some very strong characters. So strong, in fact, I was struggling to actually pose a threat to the party, and I threw 30+ enemies at the party.
I scrolled through the VOD, and I'm curious for one part I heard. Was Booter overpowered?
No, but it would seem that way.
I heard, yeah, because I remember you say he voiced something of like his worry that like, is this shit just strong, but it's just like his shit being tied to armor.
Yeah,
well, to retaliate really hard.
In the situation is, thanks for the Prime sub. I appreciate it. One day I'll give my mods free subs for the Twitch. But it feels very strong. It's especially strong lower level, because essentially how his build works, oh well, thanks for the normal sub then. Because how it works is when he uses his armor to reflect damage back on someone, he can deal his armor back to them, and he's wearing a whole armor build, right? So he reflects back 14 damage, which at level 1 is very typically a severe wound. And for minion monsters specifically, how minions work, they have 1 HP and they have over damage, where if you hit, it's kind of like Warhammer. If you hit a certain damage amount enough times, you kill that many minions.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So in our fights, he could kill 5 minions just by being hit. But he could only do this 4 times between short rests. So, and even if he did it all in one short rest, on a short rest, he could only get 2 of his armor points back, meaning that until the next short rest, he can only do it 2 times. And then he's really easy to hit because he has no evasion, being a fungal, like, armored porcupine creature, essentially. So
I see.
It feels very strong because it felt very impactful, but there was also just the situation of like, The players were pretty strong. They could take out a lot of enemies, even though over 20 of those enemies I said earlier of the 30 plus were minions that died really quickly. I was able to do some damage with them because just power and numbers. And I think that's intentional, and a lot of the really broken things we found early game will not scale into the later game. The armor point specifically will start being less impactful when that rebound doesn't do severe wounds every time. Because the way damage works in the game is you have damage thresholds that reflect into a certain number of HP being removed, and characters have typically 6 HP at the start. So a severe wound is 3 HP, which is a lot, and enough to kill some of the lower level enemies, but it becomes less and less dangerous at higher game when the enemies just have more HP to work with. And the severe threshold for damage also increases as the game goes, making it harder and harder to severely wound targets, meaning more often than not you're going to either do minor or major wounds, which just results into less damage. So it's not going to break the game. Like, there'll be a point not too far in the future where Booter's character won't be able to even kill a character with rebounding several times that damage back.
So, okay.
It feels very strong in the playtest, but when you dig into it, it's not that strong. And that's kind of the thing, though. Also, it's really hard to kill characters in the game, and they also just have the option where you can just go down unconscious, and, you know, they're essentially down for the fight but not dead. Though they do have some pretty good ways to kill characters in the game too, if the players really want to push it. Which I like putting that power into the players' hands, for sure. But not everyone agrees with that. And that's another sticking point.
Like, it should be a decision at session 0. I don't see why it cannot be a discussion of, hey guys, how do you want death to work? Just, it doesn't need to be a fucking text box saying, here's how dying works. Just fucking decide. Like, you're adults. Just figure it out.
Well, it's like this faulty idea of people are like, the only consequence is death.
It definitely isn't, yeah.
One, how do your games work? Are you killing characters every time they make a small mistake? Otherwise, I imagine you're coming up with consequences that are not killing players. And two, like, there's a level of grittiness that everyone needs to, like, agree on in a campaign. Some games, I mean, to be fair, right? We've played games where we've had some super impactful player deaths. I have killed a player with almost nothing the player could do in return. You know, I gave an incredibly small chance of survival, and they failed, and the character died after getting stabbed in his sleep. You know.
Yes, me.
Yes, you. So, I've played the spectrum, and I'll tell you, while those character deaths were very meaningful, I've also had other character deaths that were very far from being equally as meaningful. Because something bad just happened, and oops, your character died. That was not the intent, that's just how the dice rolled. It wasn't this big epic moment, it wasn't sad, it wasn't anything. And you know what? I doubt for these people who are like, death needs to be in my games, they also have these meaningless deaths that don't justify the necessity of death in their game.
It's the thing where it's like, whenever I hear the argument of death needs to be in my game, otherwise consequences wouldn't exist, my immediate thought is, I don't know, man, video games have had it figured out for a long time.
Right. And we've had this
not every video game we have, and like reiterating it for anybody in like new in chat that hasn't heard it, because there's new people here. Our stance is very firm in like, you can talk about it, figure out what your players want. There's a lot of interesting methods you could have. Like, I personally do not see a reason why you cannot just at session 0 be like, okay, how do you guys want to do this? Do we want to have like permadeath? Do we want to have like, do you want me to like video game respawn you guys? Like at a checkpoint? Do you want like, my immediate thought is a Borderlands respawn where you get like your money taken if you die, like stuff like that. You have an injury system where you have debuffs every time you die. You can punish and bring them back to life. You can do both. And I just don't think killing is necessary in every game. It's just a thing that is, whenever I hear it, it's your argument is only, I've always done it this way, therefore it's the only way I can do it, and that is inherently a really dumb argument.
Well, and it's even worse than that because there's a lot of people who are like, I haven't had a character who died in like 10 years. I'm such a good gamer. And then they turn around and be like, you need death in games. Otherwise, there's no value in your character's life. And it's like, how would you know? How would you know? You haven't had this moment that you're talking about that makes your character death feels impactful because you're such a good gamer, you know? Uh,
If
and
your
and
character hasn't died, that's the same thing as your game not having character death.
so
I don't know.
boiling this down to like what the arguments are really about, a lot of people assume things based on a very light interpretation of a system, and this is what causes a lot of this discourse. Oh no, my players can't possibly play in a game without initiative, because what if one of them just talks over all the others and takes a million actions? One, the book tells you what happens, and two, the book also states an expectation of the players to allow other players to have an action. So inherently, if a player is doing that, they're already going against what the book is expecting of the players. And if people are like, yeah, but that's what the book is expecting and not what it's telling us, then what is a rule? What do you want? The game told you how to play the game. Why are you deciding that that's not enough because it's not like mandated from you, right? Do you expect them to hold your hand the entire time? And to be fair, that's not necessarily a criticism against people who do prefer a much more structured game, because you can prefer that and that's completely fine. But don't say it's bad game design when it doesn't work for you, when it obviously works for so many other people. All people's got to say is, I don't like it, it doesn't suit my taste. And I barely anyone would have anything to say. Only the asshole people who are just out there to start fights are going to cause problems. It's the people who are out there all the time saying, oh, I don't like, literally something I absolutely hated was bad interpretations of games by people who just don't like a company or something. Because in Indestructiboy's very review of Candela Obscura, how he was saying he doesn't like how monster stats are not necessarily codified in the game, but constantly mentioned Blades in the Dark, which in Blades in the Dark, monster stats aren't necessarily a thing, was the peak of you're just choosing to put a game down for no reason, because you're being a very big hypocrite compared to a game you're literally comparing this game to right now. And in Daggerheart, it's literally the same thing with all these people. So is the game for everyone? No. Can people dislike it? Yeah. Does it make it a bad game? No. It's that simple. A game can be fun. And there's all these people who are like, it just feels like they're stealing a bunch of things from other games. And do you think Call of Duty invented shooting or reloading or grenades?
Sometimes stealing other game systems can be cool, and this leads me to a point I want to make. Very important point, because it's something similar to what you've said. The dice system for Daggerheart is very interesting. The whole like fear and hope, because it's very reminiscent of a very cool dice system the Edge of the Empire dice system from the Fantasy Flight game for Star Wars. Can these games stop simplifying it and just steal it? Please? Fucking why do we keep doing this, Cam? We keep finding games that steal the dice system and then simplify it. Fucking Seven Rings did it. Where Seven Rings took a dice system that is fucking fantastic. Because it's like they took it and then they're like, all right, all these dice, they're scary. Let's reduce the number of dice and take away the cool interactions the dice gives you. It's like, no, the dice interaction is what makes it cool. Because like the one part that makes it so interesting is that you have the success fail dice, the advantage disadvantage dice, and the triumph despair dice. You got your dice that determine if you win or lose, the dice that determine if you succeed or fail with a positive or negative benefit, or the dice that determine if you really, really succeed, or the dice that determine if you really, really fuck up, like really bad. And it makes the game have a lot of really cool interactions from if you succeed with some penalties or succeed with some extra benefits, or also the most interesting fail upward system I've ever experienced in a tabletop game. And no other game has ever hit it since, not even Pathfinder. And that is a game I really love, even with its system of like tiered success and failure. And can a game fucking steal it, please? Please? I just want to play it, but I hate Star Wars. I want to play this game, but not in Star Wars. That's my rant. Thank you.
Yeah. And yeah, William Nelson, I agree. People already get mixed up on the difference between stealing ideas and plagiarism. Stealing and combining ideas can create new and cool ideas. Yeah. And that's the thing, right? Is people who are looking to put like these games by Critical Role down are just going to give it the worst interpretation. And that's what it boils down to. That's what the Indestructible thing was about, right? It's just a terrible interpretation of things that obviously work in other tabletop that for some reason is a problem because people hate Critical Role. And I don't understand all this hate for Critical Role when they've done so much to elevate the community. You know, honestly, and this, I mean, to be fair, this is just a thing in many deep hobbyist communities where they like their specific thing, their specific way, even though that's not necessarily the way the thing that they're obsessing about is intended. And they shoot down anything that comes close to it because their thing is the best thing. Tabletop community is in an era right now where we have so much opportunity to grow, do new things, have more fun, and that's a different conversation we'll have in a little bit, because oh boy, I got a little bit on that one. But when we should just be being like, oh, that's a cool game. I don't know if it's for me, but it's cool that it exists. Like,
yeah.
Why can we not just let people enjoy the games? It's just like, it's like, I can't play Candle Obscura because I rather play Blades in the Dark because they're the same setting. It's like, no, they're different settings. You're lying to yourself. If you don't like its setting, then just don't play that game. But if the game was literally the exact same, but just a different setting, that is reason enough for a thing to exist, right? Like, the only thing that would be scummy when it comes to like stealing ideas or whatever is when you take them, you just photocopy a game and you don't put any effort into it, and then you claim that it's all new ideas.
Yeah, that's the part that is gross, because it's something that because the idea of like stealing and plagiarism is a very important idea, because I think we talked about it in our previous table talk. It's an idea that I saw a while ago, specifically in game design, because it's a detail I love bringing up when I can. The fact that Helldivers 2 stole the movement system from Metal Gear Solid 5. And
Yeah.
it's one of the reasons why it's like the Helldivers 2 is so satisfying to move around in, because Metal Gear Solid 5 has a fantastic movement system, but you never use it because you're moving so slowly and sneaking all the time. And it's just because they liked that game. And it's like, you can take that system, improve on it, do your own twists and all that stuff, and it's not a bad thing. You're just taking something you like and adapting it for your own systems. That's not a bad thing. Like, games have these licenses, like the Orc license and the OGL, like those stuff exist specifically so people can do that legally.
Yeah, exactly. And yet, for some reason, and again, it's just a lot of Critical Role hate for no reason,
Yes.
because a lot of people don't like the casuals in the scene. That's the big thing. A lot of people think that the way they play is best, and they see a lot of people in the space who are new, who are playing it differently, and they're like, they're ruining tabletop. And that's the
Yeah.
dumbest thing I've ever heard, but it's literally existed in all forms. Warhammer gets this literally all the time. The number of
40K does get
sweaty
it.
neckbeards who are upset at the number of VTubers playing Warhammer games nowadays is absurd.
Yeah, I'm really happy I went on a nice cull for anybody that in any way is putting annoying 40K posts on my timeline is now either blocked or muted based on the severity. So I don't see it anymore. But
Yeah,
like yeah, it's annoying cuz like it's just the people that believe more people in my hobby is bad, and they are annoying. I don't like them.
yeah. And it's like it takes anything away from them, which it
No,
really doesn't.
I don't care about it. And it's like the other bit that's annoying and like kind of sad is like I just don't understand hating something like that or inherently caring that much and giving that much energy, cuz like for me as somebody who said this enough, I'm not even like a Critical Role hater or even a Critical Role fan. When I'm coming at any of what I've said, uh don't be construed as any of it. I'm a fan of Critical Role only in the aspect of I like the individual work of each person involved in the project, and I think the production is interesting as a product, on a business sense. I think actual plays are fucking boring, and then that's the end result of it. And then it's like, yeah, but also the weird hate they get is it's just weird, dog. I don't
It's
get it.
it's needless and it's overly hostile for literally zero valid reasons. Uh the and it's just the thing is they're just like, oh, they're fooling kids into thinking this is tabletop, whatever kind of conversation, which is terrible. But
It's
so
really
here's the
dumb.
thing, right? William Nelson hit it earlier. Contrarianism gets clicks. So that is the reason why a lot of people dig up shit, because it gets them social gratification from the many people who agree with them, who are also outspoken haters. And it feels like you're getting rallied behind when you're making these takes. I sent Alex a video recently talking about like how YouTube works, and one of the reasons why most tabletop content is D&D and or controversy D&D based, and that's because literally, whether you think so or you don't, if you see a very absurd take, you're going to be so curious as to why someone says such a shit take. You're going to click and see what the video is about, and that perpetuates the system. uh Literally, I have a channel I absolutely despise because it's so unimaginative. It's Dungeons and Discourse, and I don't necessarily care about the person who runs it, but literally every video ends with gets worse, has Dungeons and Dragons in it, or a Matt Mercer, or something along those lines. The recent 4 videos. The D&D YouTube scandal gets worse. The D&D cancellation scandal gets worse. These are the most recent videos. The darkest D&D scandal gets worse. Insane allegations against Matt Mercer and Matt Colville. The D&D YouTuber scandal gets worse. Literally the same title with an R at the end of YouTuber from a week ago, or a month ago, sorry. Literally.
Yeah, they're
It's And every thumbnail uses their image in like one of like 3 states, in mostly one state, which is their hand on their head looking like
The Philip DeFranco pose. I know
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, oh, I will mention I just tabbed over, I saw it. I do want to mention, I want to go back and say William Nelson. The take, imagine playing Helldivers 2 and saying this is exactly like Metal Gear Solid 5, absolute absurd take. It's not a criticism of the game saying that. It is literally side by side comparison. The character movement system is exactly 1-to-1 the exact same, and that is not a negative complaint of the game because it rules. Metal Gear Solid 5's movement is fantastic. It's a good thing that they did this because allowing me to run around in a game that lets me actually run around in a movement system that's cool. Cool thing that they did. I like that they did that because Metal Gear Solid 5 is actually good. People are just mean.
Well, I mean,
But
that's what
no, it's like,
that's what he was saying. It's an absurd
okay,
take
yeah,
to
yeah.
say that. So
There it was also actual game designers because I saw it because of my boy Joshua Sawyer saying that as like a game director being like, this is an absurd thing to be upset about if you're actually upset that someone stole a movement system. This is a normal practice. And also this is the same thing as getting upset that like Yakuza has stolen their own assets for Kamurocho for every game in the series, or like Dark Souls has taken assets from their own games. It makes no sense to be upset about. But it's very cool. I like that they do that. Yeah, that is the problem. The over time, once you get those aspects, like they probably do have those early videos, like the early videos that are really fun and creative and interesting, and then eventually something works and you kind of have to churn it because if you they're probably in that sad spot of once they go back to making the videos that are fun, ooh, yeah.
they're gonna lose a lot of money. Okay, so by the way,
Okay, yeah, I get what you mean.
so like all these videos I just mentioned, right, which are like very unimaginative, a lot of it is also just nothing burgers.
It really is.
They're literally nothing. They're not nearly anything. Y'all want to guess how many views that these videos that are very obviously clickbait, very obviously like nothing sandwiches get on average? 150K views on average.
Jesus.
150K. Granted, that's from a profit sector, right? And not a success sector when you look at their subscriber count, which is 35.4K, which is an absurdly low number considering the absurdly high view counts.
It's I mean it's kind of the thing from where I'm immediately looking at it, and it's something I was discussing the business model with some roommates of mine because they were curious about how some of this is approached. It's one of those channels that, as it seems like their model is, they found a thing that works and they can definitely have really cool short-term success, but like there can be another Dungeons and Discourse. The people are there to see what new scandal happened. They're not there because they're fans of Dungeons and Discourse.
Yeah.
They're there to be like, what did Matt Mercer do this week?
Yeah. And that's obvious. They're getting these views
Super obvious.
despite not a subscriber count that matches the general range, because the content they produce is not good enough to get people to subscribe to see their content regularly. But it hits the key notes where people who even aren't subscribed are seeing their content everywhere.
Yeah, they're getting it recommended every week as if they were subscribed.
Yeah. And the thing is, that's all perpetuated by the people who do the clicks.
Yep.
The only thing you can do to fight this is not to click on those clickbaity videos and to wait for channels that you do like to make content, because if it's big enough and important enough, they're going to talk about it. And to be fair, as much as I dislike it, right, and as much as I don't necessarily have an opinion about the person in question, I can't in good honesty say what they're doing is wrong, because they're doing it for a living,
Yeah.
and they're working the system the way that it is being presented to them, and they're playing it admittedly well, but it doesn't have a lot of staying power, and it is not a method I would recommend, because they're going to deal with a lot of the mental health crisis of what happens when this content stops working, because it will eventually.
As someone who is trying to do this like full time at some point, that is what the state I want to do at some point in my life. I absolutely sympathize with the idea and the fear that you can be locked into doing something that is kind of soul crushing and basically slop content that isn't in any way creatively fulfilling, because otherwise the option is get off YouTube and go get a real job, or like
Yeah.
just go back to like the 9 to 5 like retail or something. That is a worrying prospect, because like you can get everything to work. It's a really freeing job. There's a lot of benefits. There's a lot of other different weird downsides, but there's a lot of benefits, and like you can have good, interesting success. But like it's not a that's not an enviable state. So like there's my sympathy there, but also like damn, those videos do not look fun. And
Yeah, that's
also like
true.
yeah, the it's definitely that situation of like the thing I talk about whenever I can, the power of targeted apathy. Jesus Christ, you hate something, don't interact in the world of SEO advertising when literally everything is making money based on the fact that it takes your eyeballs and your presses and everything like that. What is your power of a consumer? Fucking ignoring it. It's so liberating to realize that. Do you hate that video? Don't comment on it. It's so easy.
Yeah.
I do it all the time. It's so easy. And it's like, because if you're commenting on it, more people will see it. And just people need to understand that that's how it works. If everyone knew, then so many bad people that we don't like would go away.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so in the end, and again, like I said, I don't like their content from a standpoint of, I feel it's very creatively bankrupt, and it's very obviously playing the algorithm. I don't blame them for playing to the algorithm, because in the end, they're more successful than I am. So who am I
They're
to
more
say?
successful, but I would never do it. But I'm happy that they found success. I do not envy their position in maybe a year or two, and I don't know, Discourse and Dragons comes around.
Yeah.
Whoever the next channel that does literally the exact same content comes around and does it slightly better.
And I gotta say as well, the best and strongest communities that exist are formed around the creator, not the content. So
Yeah, it's always like it's the way. I also, it's really funny. Every once in a while, my dad will call me up because he will try to like give me YouTube advice. But when I'm like talking to him about it, it's all like it's just his, like he went to a conference for real estate, and it's like okay, he just wants to gush about real estate business management or something. He needs to get information out, and he's given me like he was being like, okay, what if we like got you like a person like a YouTube guru who could get you to 10K in like a month. And I was like, one, YouTube gurus are scam artists. Like there's a whole industry. They're all scam artists. Second, I need you to understand how the game works to understand that like that sudden growth is not a good thing. And just explaining to him like that difference of the sudden explosive growth and like how that works of you want the consistent growth because you want people to subscribe to you and come to the channel for you, because then you aren't replaceable, because like you don't want to be in that position where another person can come around and then you're fucking gone. That's why
true.
like react channels and all that, like sure you can make fucking bank, but anybody can do that.
True.
Like anybody can just make that you are nothing. But like, the people who've been around since the beginning of the fucking site, you can't replace them.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and like with my channel specifically, what I want to do is elevate tabletop in general. Recently, and even in the Pathfinder scene, we've seen someone who kind of got pigeonholed into the Pathfinder content creator guy and has recently taken a shift, and now he's losing hundreds of subscribers every day, and that sucks. Mental health wise,
It does.
I'm sure he's suffering, and I feel super bad about that.
I
uh
also hope that at the end of the day, I hope that he can get to a place where he's like making content he just enjoys more and is in a place where he's just kind of happier.
I hope he gets. I hope that his sub count balances out to that point soon. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's what I think the main thing is. What creator is this? It's No Net Ones.
Yeah, because he definitely did not want to do Pathfinder his entire life.
He did not. He was not as much of a tabletop guy as his kind of sudden rise to fame in the Pathfinder space made, because legitimately he did something incredible. He got to like 50K in like 3 years or something. Nuts. I couldn't even. I'm sitting here at, how long have I been doing this? I don't even know anymore.
It's like 2 years.
2.5, 3 years, somewhere in that range. And I'm nowhere near 50K. So, I feel bad. I feel bad because, like, obviously it wasn't what he wanted to do, but it's just kind of what he took off doing. And I hope he finds a place soon that suits him better. But that's kind of the thing, is the same thing with Dungeons and Discourse and all that kind of stuff. I hope these people are able to get to a place that is better suited for, like, actually being creative and doing content that they like. Because a lot of this instant fame is great, but it's such a mental health blow to lose a bunch of subs or to watch your channel just die because you built yourself on very flimsy foundations. But all right, I know Oyman is going to explode if we don't talk about the Lancer build contest. So we're going to talk about the Lancer build contest. We're going to talk about our picks and what happens next. And then with whatever remaining time we have with the stream, I know we kind of like diverged from our main topic, but if you have any questions about Daggerheart, or if you have any thoughts or opinions, go ahead and put those in the comment section and we'll address them. But yeah, let's talk about our top picks. So what we'll do is each of us are going to go one for one, mostly to give the other a chance to reread some of the builds so we remember why we picked them.
Yeah.
And we're going to talk about our 5 picks, who made them, what they do, and then we'll talk about the next phase. So I'll start, and I'll give you a chance to relook up some of your builds. So the first build I ended up going with was a build by probably Sven from earlier, Sven, which was his Hammer Time White Witch build. The Hammer Time is a very fun build. It is a build that uses, where are the licenses? Here we go. 3 points in White Witch, 3 points in Vlad, 2 points in Drake, 1 Nelson, and 3 in Minotaur. And the build is completely based around, you're playing a White Witch. You're a very tanky mech, though. You don't start off super tanky. In fact, their hull is so low. Holy crap. I'm shocked. Oh, no, never mind. Oh, that's how many hull. Okay, never mind. Their hull is pretty good, actually. It's actually amazing. They have 32 hull. That's a lot of hull to get through. They have the White Witch, if you don't know, builds armor every time it's hit, so it has a lot of HP to kind of work through that as it's building armor. And it is a pretty fast mech. Its movement speed is, what was it? It's like 7, I think. Yeah, their speed is 7, which is pretty nutty. They also have a +2 to their tech attack, letting them use some of the systems they've selected, like the Camus's razor, or whatever. But one of the favorite things is they take some of the shield abilities. They have the Argonaut shield equipped, for instance. So it's a big mech using a big shield. They have the Aegis shield generator and bulwark mods. They also have the Caltrops launcher and the web snare from the Vlad. So their main thing is just going up, locking enemies down using the Ferrofluid Lance or the Impaler Nailgun. And they can do so quickly and then just be a meat wall where the enemy has no choice but to really shoot them or do nothing every round. A very fun build that I personally like. And let's see here. Any fun lore stuff? The lore for their character for this one was Bolin Atteridge, who essentially it works with like a mining terraforming crew. And when he became a Lancer, he kind of moved to defending like work sites. And his major job is like nailing down hyper aggressive megafauna or pirates and dealing with them while the remainder of the crew gets to safety.
Okay. Nice.
So that is my first pick. So good job, Sven, for the Hammer Time build, using some of my favorite licenses in the game, like the Drake. And I do really like the White Witch.
The White Witch is very interesting, to say the least.
It's really good. I actually enjoy it a lot.
All right, just had to grab some water because my voice is still recovering. My first pick, and these are in no particular order. The
Same,
first
I'll
one
say.
I went with is Eitri by Lion of Khmer, which I gotta say is one of the most interesting melee builds I've come across for Lancer. This build is genuinely very interesting. Just running through very quickly, like some of the licenses it has. This is a base frame. It is an Atlas, but it has Rayleigh 3, Blackbeard 1, Goblin 2, Kobold 2, Nelson 2, and Atlas 2. And just some of the main things that it does running through, it's like a basic turn, because it gives its like main equipment and how it plays pretty basically. It has, as it's described here, the scariest chainsword you've ever seen. As it follows a skirmish with a +3 accuracy 3d6 chain axe, which then, with a thermal charge and crits and some shreds, it boosts up to 8d6 damage. And here's the specific reason this chain axe is very scary. So this there's a lot of combos going on in this frame, which is the part that made going through this really, really interesting. So the Kobold, it gives it access to the Slag Cannon, which the Slag Cannon then is shot out. And with Slag Cannon, it combos with specifically the talent Siege Specialist, which, double checking for Siege Specialist, I think I have it open. Yes, specifically because it is a cannon. Once per round, all characters adjacent to you, because you're in melee, they have to succeed on a hull save, which is actually increased by 2 because Way of the Open Door core license, or core bonus, are be knocked back by 1 and knocked prone. One important thing about the Atlas, it does more damage to you if you're knocked prone. And so it knocks you prone. It also creates terrain. Then another thing the Atlas has is Jägerkunst. And it lets you then immediately move as a free action if there is a freestanding piece of terrain larger to right next to you. The Slag Cannon creates a one-size piece of terrain right next to you. There, I just gotta say, with like all of the comboing stuff with this mech, it's just genuinely really interesting. Like heat management is really well done too. Also like Way of the False Idol is actively used here. Um, it's just there because this mech is both like a really interesting melee mech. It utilizes this cannon. It also has some really cool hacker options because it's got the goblin and uses like Way of the False Idol, and also outputs heat because people failing against it will take some heat damage. That's another funny thing it acts. And then its lore wise is that this is a piloted by a pilot known as Sigurd Gunnarsson with an NHP co-pilot Sindri, and they are a Spari native, which is a very Atlas thing for those that don't know. And it is very tied to the idea of say I can read it because I think the lore is pretty interesting. Sigurd is a Spar native belonging to clan Nagbatir, one of the clans which helped reclaim and scavenge Yuga Pocket after the founding of Yin, and had a proud family business of scrappers. Sigurd's family relocated to Ludra's world, where they're offered licenses to operate as combined security and reclamation experts, taking back and salvaging materials taken by the Ungratefuls as tensions began to rise. Something Sigurd's father saw as a chance to gain wealth and prosperity for the clan. However, as the Free Sanjak uprising broke out, Sigurd instead joined the revolutionaries, seeing as their fight was just and honorable. The first version of Etri was built with parts scavenged from the house and free companies who joined the Trunk security in trying to reclaim the planet, styling it as an industrial knight in mockery of the hollow chivalry of the Karakin knights who joined the fight against the oppressed. Which, the one thing I'll say about this is it's very clear that this is a build made for a campaign with the amount of effort that's like really put into every single element of it. It's just very cool. So excellent job here.
All right. I got a real fun one, and one I'm so surprised you didn't pick.
I had some other. Here's the problem. There's just a lot of cool ones.
There was a lot of good builds, which I gotta say, good job to the community. We had a lot of builds, and it was kind of hard to narrow it down to just like our each 5 personal picks. Lion of Khmer got another good one here. And this is the weird thing. There's a lot of these builds that didn't have actually any mech frame names. So I'm just going to call this the Burning Wheel. This build is so good. All right. So this is a Genghis build. This is a Genghis build that uses the 3 license levels in Tortuga, 1 in Black Witch, 2 in the Baylor, 2 in the Genghis, 1 in the Lich, 2 in the Iskander, and 1 in the Kobold. So very few 3 talent picks, which is pretty interesting. But the whole point of the build is you decide, like, this is my home now. You clamp onto the ground with the Kobold's forge clamps, so you can't be pushed back or knocked prone. And the build, you turn into like a giant burning pit that you then drag other mechs into, and they just melt away. This uses the swarm body from the Baylor, which when you activate it, you create a zone around you of nanites that if you fail your system save, they just do 3 kinetic, I think, armor piercing damage to you. If you want enemies to fall into your pit, you use the Black Witch's Pharaoh Lash to just drag enemies right into your pit, hopefully knocking them prone. This also uses the Lich's Wandering Nightmare, which you create this time bubble zone around you that when a character's within the area, they can't take reactions. And if they start their turn in there, they have to make a system save or take 2 heat and become slowed until the end of the next turn. This effect lasts until the action is taken again. This weapon uses the fuel rod gun to shoot people to boost its heat up. Because it's a Genghis, it has explosive vents. So its main thing is any enemies that's got in the pot is going to shoot other people and then blast heat when it clears its vents on them over and over and over in this swarm, creating just this absolutely terrible one space that this mech is sitting in that is just a living hell for anyone who gets close. And I do love the phrase. There wasn't really any narrative, just a how to play. But I do love this phrase: "Break thyself upon the burning wheel,"
which is very cool.
Which is very cool. A super fun build. This mech also is very tanky. This has 3 armor, which is pretty nutty, 31 hull points, and a heat cap of 16. It has a speed of 3, which is, you know, it's funny because the whole thing is not moving. Also has a save of 18, which is absolutely nuts. So enemies are just gonna melt inside of this caldera of flame and nanites. So,
oh yeah, that's a good thing to mention. The build I talked about last time also had a save of 18. So yeah, that's a scary number to try to beat.
Yeah, I'm definitely learning. It's something we haven't gotten far in our Lancer games, to be fair. But a Lesson of the Open Door is a very, very powerful core bonus.
It's a good one to just have.
Yeah, it just seems like a very solid one. So, yeah, that's my second pick, which is a pretty good one.
Honestly. The next one I have to pick because you know me. This one is Hot Shot by Best OTP or Michelangelo Falconari in our server. It is a Rayleigh, so I had to pick it because you know me. And also the part that made me happy is it's like a Rayleigh with missiles. So in a little bit of a way, it's like a better Monarch. That made me a little happy. With no Monarch license levels, because it is Rayleigh 3, Saladin 3, Sherman 3, Morning Cloak 1, Pegasus 1, Caliban 1. And specifically, it is using, you know, some very basic stuff you'll see with Rayleigh, which is it's gonna have obviously the Uncle, because you really want the Uncle. It's gonna have the Roland chamber. It's specifically the Uncle class comp con is gonna be in the Shatterhead colony missiles, which it has, and both of its Ox mounts. I'm a little disappointed that it doesn't have just a bunch of hand cannons, but just having a bunch of rockets is kind of nice. Accidentally closed one of my comp con tabs. Double check the stats on the Shatterhead, because the Shatterhead is the thing that is going to be uncled. So for specifically, it is an arcing 1d3 plus 1, 15 range. Which, by the way, the final attack roll for this weapon can never be affected by difficulty. The Uncle weapon specifically allows you to make a free attack action every turn at a +2 difficulty. So essentially, that is just a free attack every turn, with literally 0 downsides. And other than that, some of its other stats it has is it having Agility 2, System 6, Engine 6, going at, let's see, some of its armor 2. It's a typical Rayleigh, so, you know, it's not going to be the tankiest thing either. It's going to be dealing a lot of damage, though, because, oh my god, with its bolt thrower and all that. Its typical modus operandi in combat, generally set to unleash hell upon anyone who has it coming, whether it's doing immense damage at higher potential damage with its bolt thrower, or unleashing a barrage with its Vija rockets and fuel rod gun. Its Uncle Comp Con firing Shatterhead colony missiles is a free action every round, without the normal penalty that Uncle fire weapons usually face. And then, of course, because it is a Rayleigh, you have that Mjolnir cannon running always, because you have the redundant systems upgrade as a quick action, allowing you to barrage with it and the bolt thrower. And then, because also you're a Rayleigh, you have the Roland chamber. As someone who's played a Rayleigh for a long period of time, adding in the Roland is just basically a free extra d6 to explosive damage on basically everything, and the bolt thrower already does a decent amount of damage on top of that. So basically, this is just a very souped up Rayleigh with, instead of having a very tight reload gameplay system. You have one gun that you're very heavily using with a lot of options for a lot of free damage output, which is very cool.
All right. Yeah, very cool. Good Rayleigh build. I knew you would pick one Rayleigh build at the very least.
I
Well, a
have
couple.
to.
Yeah.
I have to.
All right. I have another one from Lion of Comer. Another really fun build. I promise, not all my builds are from Lion of Comer. And this one also didn't come with a mech name, so I'm just going to name it Angry Bees. This is a Swallowtail mainframe. It uses the licenses 3 from the Kid, 1 from the Barbarossa, 2 from the Genghis, 2 from the Goblin, 2 from the Kobold, and 2 from the aforementioned Swallowtail. This one uses a integrated weapon along with mount retrofitting to change up on the mounts, lesson of the open door to have insanely high saves like always, and the heat fall coolant system. This mech is not quite as tanky as some of the other ones, but it's not really meant to be. This is a Swallowtail, obviously, so it's an artillery mech. It sits in the back line. It makes itself a nice little home, using its it has the omnibus plates from, I believe, the Barbarossa. No, who has the omnibus? That would be.
That is the Kid.
Oh, that's the Kid. The Kid is one of the few mechs I'm so unfamiliar with. Here we go.
Same.
So what it does is any deployables or drones you place on it gain resistance to all damage. So you mix this in with the Kobold's Subterranean Altar. No, which one is that one? The Subaltern Squad Forge 2. Is that another Kid one that I'm not familiar with? It is. Yeah. So there are these emplacements that are size 1 and 3 spaces high. They're shielded platforms essentially, and this gives them all like resistance, more or less. So you just make a little base for yourself, and then you just shoot at your enemies. Constant Nexus weapons, so constant nanite swarms from super long distance away. This one also uses the forge clamps from the Kobold to stick in place on top of one of the omnibus plates and hang out there with invisibility and false idol. So it's really hard for enemies to shoot you because they have to make a system save, and if they succeed, you're still invisible. They also have siege stabilizers to shoot the bees from even further, and they have the black spot targeting laser, or the laser pointer effectively mentioned here, for shooting. And then if any enemies, this was a fun part, if any enemies are hiding within any cover within 10 hexes of you, you can use Seismic Ripper to create a 10-foot line that just destroys objects and can knock people prone, but more importantly, make you victim to further bees. It says, if someone dares to exist in the vicinity of your secret tree house or enemies move out of your range, you can exit it Prospector 1 to make a secret tunnel to a new location and then build a new tree house. Your secret hideout complex is now the envy of all kids in the neighborhood until you move on to the next scene and it's taken over by the teens who smoke weed in there. That's the story behind this one. And I'll also leave this one off with, I like my mechs like I like my coffee, covered in bees. So yeah, it's a very fun long distance Nexus using mech that just makes a little fun treehouse, and if people get too close, it just burrows away, makes another house. A very fun build, if I do say so. This one also has a sensor range of 20, which is pretty nuts, and it has a tech attack of +3, which is not the highest it could be, but pretty good, all things considered. But yeah, that's my second one. I I like how my first couple of picks are like one that plays to my particular fancy of just really good tanky mech, and then Burning Cauldron and Covered in Bees.
True. Like we said, there's a lot of really this is a hard list to make because there's just a lot of cool picks. Which I gotta say, speaking of another cool pick, let me double check exactly who made this. This one I did put the pilot name, not the right mech name. This mech is Stake Driver. The reason I picked this mech is made by Svan. Reason I picked this. One, it's technically another Rayleigh build. Technically, because it's the variant, the German word that's really hard to pronounce. I'm not very good at it. I'm not good at German. Second, I like the lore. I like the idea of playing a pirate that is like, you know what? Fuck you, ISPN North Star. You built your stuff to be anti-piracy. Well, you know what? Because you did that, your stuff's really good at taking over cargo ships. I think that's pretty based. Third, this is just my Armored Core 6 build. That's all this is. Because this build is primarily using a big-ass shotgun, using the Deck Sweeper automatic shotgun, because it's using it has of its licenses, the Rayleigh 3, the Nelson 3, where it's getting these really fun weapons, the Tortuga 3, and the Caliban 3. The Deck Sweeper automatic shotgun, the catalytic hammer, the HHS 155 Cannibal for its weapons. Now, the part of this that is very, very fun, this is kind of like a fun mix of the first two builds, also is definitely built to be a bit more tanky. Armor-wise, it does have 1 armor, but it's a lot more evasive because it has an evasion of 14, and meanwhile it's having armor 1, because it's going to be just a little... It has an agility of 4 here, but it's a little better of just being able to like be in close quarters, because specifically, let's see, there's one part that it had, let me double check where it was. It has the hyper dense armor. I'm double checking who gives that. That's from the Tortuga. The hyper dense armor, as it says here, to help you survive anything that is outside your cone of death, which when activated does give you a resistance to all damage, heat, and burn from attacks that originate beyond range 3. And because you're operating with, you know, a shotgun and a pile bunker, you know, you're a very close range. The other part that makes this really, really handy, you are operating with weapons that use some loading, and specifically, you have 2 frame traits, dynamic reload, where your melee weapons and your range weapons reload if you critical hit. Anything that needs to reload that you didn't use to attack this turn, if you crit, will reload. And then other than that, True Silver, if you have active, a non-loading weapon, the hit is treated as a critical hit, resulting damage is not rolled twice. Loading weapons, resulting damage can't be reduced. There's a lot of good frame traits that just combo really well here. And basically, let's see, double checking through the method too. And the method as it's written here too, I think is put really well. Behold, the build that only Sekhmet comes close to in terms of ripping and tearing that will take place when you are around. Because you are using the Upcal Roland Thermal Pile Bunker and the Cannibal, possibly even in the same term. Skirmish and your combination of dynamic reload, reprisal, and renewal will let you at least 1 attack per turn, and even this 1 attack will definitely hurt. You can use Roland Chamber in almost all attacks, giving your baseline damage a nice boost. Vanguard 1 and Auto Stab hardpoints let you make a neutral attack roll, even with a double barrel blast from your cannibal, and with the Deck Sweeper being a nice backup if for some reason both of your weapons happen to be unloaded at the start of your turn. And and if some pesky NPC is laughing in your face with the resistance, True Silver will wipe that off their face pretty quickly. And there's some other funny things this has, like you have really fast speed and you also get jump jets because you have the rapid burst jump jet system. So if someone is for some reason not in your range, you will get there. You will get there very quickly because you do have a speed of 7. So your effective range is pretty good.
Nice. You know, reading these builds, man, do I want to play more Lancer?
I agree. This whole time too was me. I gotta actually sit down and make it because I should have done that, but I wanted to post it. I was like, I can't. It'd be unethical as a judge in this competition to just be like, I want to post my delete Pegasus build. Like I should have used this chance to make a license level 20, like 12 build. Just like try to make a really goofy, cracked out build.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it would have been a little unfair as judges, but like...
Oh yeah, it wouldn't have been included in the competition, but I think I'm probably gonna try to make something goofy now.
Yeah, it's very inspiring. All right, my third pick was Another One Bites Fun. And this one is the frame build. Nope. This is a dirty one. This is a very dirty build. So this one hardlines the Gorgon. And this is a Gorgon 3, Vlad 3, Saladin, my boy 3. I'm sad there's no primary Saladin builds. Tragic, really. And the Napoleon 3. And this is I am the threat. Don't focus on anyone but me. I am a massive monster. So this one uses Lesson of the Open Door to get a save of 20 for Gorgon abilities, I might add, that just mess your systems up.
Love me some Gorgon.
It's a Fomorian frame, so it's a size 3 Gorgon. It uses auto-stabilizing hardpoints for its Impaler nail gun, a really great gun from the Vlad, and it uses the Superior by Design core bonus, which is... I know that's Harrison Armory. This is the one. You gain immunity to impaired and gain +2 heat cap. So, very, very sturdy frame. It has 26 HP, which is not a lot, and 0 armor. So it doesn't necessarily take a lot of hits, but you have to look at it. And that's the problem. That's the problem, especially because this uses 2 Vorpal guns. And it also uses the Scorpion NHP from the Gorgon as well. Also has the Caltrop launcher. It uses Stasis Bolt. Oh, I'm sorry. The Scorpion's not a NHP. It is Gorgon. It is just a system. Anytime you or an allied character adjacent to you is missed by a tech attack or succeeds to save against a hostile tech attack, choose an action. The attacker becomes impaired or jammed. So even tech attacking your allies is not good. This also uses the Noah class NHP, which is an amazing one from the Saladin. It uses flash anchors and stasis bolts for even more defending your allies. It also can lock enemies down with the Webjaw snare. And it also has the formidable Mimic Mesh, which is a very devastating reaction it can take. And so its combat profile is you're going to gaze a lot with this build. You You have an answer for almost any problem. Big attack coming your way, use Stasis Barrier and Stasis Bolt. Ally getting knocked around into a bad spot, Flash Anchor to prevent them from being moved. Enemies rushing in your face, Webjaw and Caltrops will stop them dead in their tracks, also using just your nail gun to pin them down. Your ally actually takes damage from an attack. 2 Vorpal weapons will make them pay. Tech attacks, use your Scorpion. Enemies decide to focus you down. Good luck not getting stunned eventually. And even if all hell breaks loose, the Basilisk, your primary your core power from your frame, will stop them in their advances right there and then. And during all that, Orator keeps on stacking since none of this happens during your own turns. Orator being a really good talent for this particular build. And I don't already mention many of the talents because, while a lot of them are good, they're not like overly big for the builds. This one does use House Guard, Vanguard, and Bonded with Orator. So yeah, it's all about defending your friends, all about being in the way. The lore for this one is pretty interesting. It gets a little bit deep. Essentially, Gyaranos, who's the pilot here, works for the Ilian Modern Industrial Tactics and mostly provides anti-Harrison Armory Siege support for them. Pretty much just being the biggest roadblock it can possibly be. I like this line. Your weapons are for naught, so the choice is yours. Flee the fight or regret ever picking it. Love to see a good Gorgon build coming in and just making their existence everyone's problem.
That is a very interesting Gorgon build. Also, just the absolute greatness of making a Gorgon size 3.
Yeah, that's horrifying. Horrifying. 10-story building size Gorgon. That's absolutely terrifying.
True. All right. This is a fun build. Let me double check. Yeah. So for my next pick, I went with Meet by Man. You're here. Hello. So I going through this. This is specifically a Nelson. And this is a very ram heavy build. This is I am going to run into you and you are going to be pushed over. I am the bigger mech. It's kind of a rough way I can describe how some of these interactions go. As specifically, the license levels here is the Nelson 3, Metal Mark 3, Blackbeard 1, Tortuga 1, Vlad 1, Genghis 2, Tokugawa 1. The weapons you are wielding is the Impact Lance, and then the next one, the Impact Lance, and in your other hand, a Shock Knife with the Shock Wreath. Now, there's a fun little thing here that's done that I do appreciate, is that there are different loops, because specifically, one of the methods that this is specifically trying to do is building up the Duelist dice. Which, let me pull up. For those that don't know, the Duelist talent, specifically, you're building up for Blade Master. When you hit with a main melee weapon, you gain 1 Blade Master dice, up to a maximum of 3, which then goes up. Specifically, let's see, this does have Duelist 3. So you can use this immediately after using it, which allows you to parry, deflect, feint, and trip, which gives you some really funny, goofy stuff. Because this is really just, I'm going to take you around the battlefield. To run through some of the things that this really does, the 3 loops that this mech can do. Mainly, they do want to fly around as much as possible. But loop A is be invisible with their active camouflage. Then move to within 3 threat of the target, skirmish with the lance, shock knife, and shock knife. Move 3 spaces away with skirmisher talent and frame trait to activate the shock wreath. Then also loop B, boost into skirmish range, skirmish with impact, lance, and shock knife, move with skirmisher trait talent. Then loop C, is barrage with all mounts. A specific thing that they're also trying to do is take advantage of a specific combination of the siege ram with the Tortuga and the core bonus Titanmancy mesh to do more ramming damage. Specifically, the Titanmancy mesh, when you successfully ram or grapple a mech, you can then ram or grapple again as a free action, which then knocks targets back with. Additionally, when you knock targets with melee attacks, you knock them back an additional space. And then for where's my license page? For Siege Ram, whenever you ram, you deal 2 kinetic damage on hit. I do very much like this frame of it's got a very clear idea of this is a specific idea of running around very quickly with a speed of 7, flying around invisible 2 with active camouflage. There is a invisible Nelson flying around with 2 Vlad. Actually, that's important to mention. The Impact Lance is a Vlad thing. You are flying around with 2 Vlad spears, just ramming into people, launching them around, and then doing it again, which I think is hilarious.
That does sound terrifying. I'm not much of a Nelson fan myself, but that makes Nelson look pretty cool.
Exactly. That's the part which got me, was like, I'm not a big Nelson guy, but like the idea of a flying invisible Nelson pushing you and then doing it again is really funny. It's very clear why this is named Meep Meep.
Yeah. All right. Final bill. We went a little bit longer than I was expecting. I should have guessed we were going to talk for more than 5 minutes each.
Of course. We have to also just go through a lot of info.
Invisible flying Nelson isn't real. It can't hurt you.
Yeah. What pushed me back like 5 spaces?
My final pick is Your Boy. That's the name of the frame, by Michelangelo Falconeri, good friend of the channel. And this is the Lancaster build, and I am excited for this one. It's got 3 Lancaster, 3 Kid, 3 Black Witch, and 3 Gorgon. Now, it uses the Formarian frame, so you're a big friend bus. You're a size 3 friend bus here. Also, one of the other lessons that are pretty cool, Lesson of the Held Image, which once per round as a reaction when an ally is attacking, you can lock on to that target, essentially giving them advantage on it. Slope plating to give you a total armor of 2, which is good for keeping some of your features, like just to keep alive a little bit. It's not a very high armor frame. It's only got 24 HP, but still, that 2 armor is going to make that 24 HP hull points go really far. It's also got universal compatibility, so whenever you use the Lancaster's core power, which is a really good one in a really bad situation, using the supercharger to clamp the drone onto someone, just amping them for the rest of your scene. The universal compatibility will just like restore all your heat and clear all your heat and restore all your HP. It's pretty good. Uses Orator, a really good talent, and House Guard. And the main way this frame mostly works is it uses the black spot targeting laser from the Kid to, potentially lock on to enemies by shooting at them. While running around doing, Lancaster things, healing people, doing all kinds of things. It is using the ASO stabilizer, the whitewash sealant spray, the field approved. It has more name than that. Field approved. What is it? Didn't put the rest of the name down. Field approved. Oh, field approved brass ignorant modification. There it is. That is from, I believe. Is that from the Kid? Yes, it is from the Kid. Which is choose an allied mech character within line of sight and sensors. You power up their weapons and then make a ranged or melee attack roll. That's a pretty good one. Uh, it's just the double comma that got me confused. Also uses the cable winch system, and essentially, so the whole way that this frame, that your boy here, the best good boy Lancaster is supposed to be used, is you just run around, you heal people. If you want, you can tow people with the cable winch and drag them with your mag clamps, even up walls. You can defend allies with the Black Ice module and the Scorpion from the Gorgon. And you can also get overshields on people, stopping them from being impaired and jammed, so your allies just don't have to worry about not being able to fire their weapons. And yeah, you're just constantly locking on to enemies, either by using your black spotting laser or actually locking on. And it's just a really, really fun Lancaster build that just uses a lot of very interesting frames. The Gorgon is surprising, but makes completely sense if you're using the Scorpion to mess people up who attack your allies. And you're a big mech, so you can drag a lot of mechs anywhere you want to go. And the speed on this mech is 6 as well. So even a lot of your tankier frames, you can just, just rein yourself up like a horse and drag people around. It's pretty good. I really do like this one. And of course, if you're not using the black slot laser, you can also just use the plasma torch to just rip people up in melee range or objects, honestly, if necessary. So overall, I'm a big support fan. This is a very, very fun Lancaster build.
Sounds like it. I do love the Lancaster. The only thing that holds it back is I'm not a Lancaster fan. Or not, I am a Lancaster fan, I'm not a support fan. And you know what the polar opposite of a support is? The build I'm going to talk about. The smell of napalm in the morning. By specifically the Ghost in the Machine, which another possible name for this build I could use to describe it. I can't believe it's not Genghis. Because this is a Sherman. Also, a thing I will state, I greatly appreciate the share codes for this, because going through a CompCon page is just very nice. So mainly, this is of the licenses it has, because oh boy, it's got a good amount. Where's that part? Okay, it is a main base frame. It is a Sherman. But it's a Sherman 2, Genghis 1, Tokugawa 3, Manticore 3, Atlas 2, and a Black Witch 1. Another user of the Lesson of the Open Door, because, yeah, just using that is just so handy, because of which it has a save of 18. Before I get into some of the shit that it can do, I do want to just mention something of its modus operandi. Specifically, is, get to and stay next to an opponent as much as possible. Now, main thing with the Sherman, and a lot of specifically the Harrison Armory stuff, is really playing with the danger zone and heat buildup, and really just staying in that zone in particular. Specifically with the weapons it's using. Its main weapon is the ZF4 Solid Core, which comes from, which, I think that one is just a Sherman weapon. Yeah, it's the integrated mount weapon, which is pretty fun, because it's just a weapon that gains charges every time you stabilize, which then, if you stabilize multiple times, like 4 times, it does 46 energy damage in a line. It's pretty cool. Your flex mount, you have a segment knife for anytime you're really in close quarters, and the catalyst pistol from the Manticore. You have the fuel rod gun, which is a handy thing. Granted, it only has 6 uses, but every time you use it, you do clear 4 heat. And the Crow rifle from the Atlas, which does shoot out a harpoon and makes a line, and then the target, you reel in the line and boosts a reaction moving toward that target in the most direct route possible, which then they have to make a hull save or they're knocked prone, which is very handy if you're trying to, stay close to your enemy. Your main heavy mount, though, you have a you have the Krakatoa flamethrower. Now, main reason that you're trying to stay really close to your enemies. Actually, real quick, one of the things that'll help you stay close to your enemies, you have the Ferocious Lash as one of your equipment. Ferocious Lash coming from the Black Witch, which does you choose a character within range 8, and if they're allied, you may pull them 5 space in any direction. If they're hostile, they must succeed on like I said, an 18 agility save, or pulled 5 spaces in any direction. And by the way, if they collide with an obstruction or other mech, they stop moving and are knocked prone. Now, that little reason why I said you want to stay really close to everybody. You have explosive vents, so if anytime you clear all heat or take stress, you release a burst 1 explosion, and characters take 2 heat and 2 burn. You also have an ability to just, expend a charge stabilizes quick action for your redundant systems upgrade. You also have the lightning generator. When you activate this protocol, you take 1 heat and deal 2 energy to all characters and objects around you. And then that reason you took Mana Core for this build, or not Mana Core, the reason you took the Tokugawa, the Lucifer class NHP, you expend a charge to give your next ranged or melee attack this turn bonus damage to hit equal to your current heat after activating this protocol. Yeah, by the way, just in case you really need to make sure your next attack will hit, your heat capacity is 14. And you're never going to be really wanting and worried about that option of you'll always at bare minimum have a +7 when that happens, because one of the traits of the Sherman, the Martha stop, if you every time you clear all heat, you can instead take yourself to half heat and be put right back in the danger zone. This is just a very, very effective playing with heat in the danger zone build, and a very close quarters like ranged fighter. So it's just a really good Sherman build.
I did look at that one. I was very tempted. I always think a Sherman build is very interesting, depending on how they build out.
It's just there's a lot of moving parts to it, which I like. It's the part that is really fun is just reading through the really cool interactions that people find. It's the thing that got me with the first build I talked about, the interior. Like, just there's so many interactions, and I'm like, oh my god, this is so cool.
The Lion of Khmer is really good at doing that. I felt the same way about the burning wheel. Just hey, I'm gonna make a cauldron of stew, and you're gonna be the main ingredient. Die, and just melts enemies inside of a burning pot. It's really, really cool. But yeah, so that is our top 10 picks. So next phase, as we're getting on next week, Thursday, we'll have all the announcements. But what we're going to do is right now, we're going to set up our pairings. We're going to each pick a particular frame to go head to head in a particular day poll. And what we're going to do is on that day poll, the whole server is going to get the opportunity to vote for their favorite. The winner will move on to be featured in a video here on the channel. And also, we'll get to see who's better at picking mech frames, Alex or myself. So, bragging rights on the channel as well. We'll be putting those on the channel. Now, something I'm going to ask, and we'll put it up here in the chat as well. If you have like retrograde minis or any kind of visual representation for your mech, that'd be super appreciated. But if you don't, we can just we have retrograde minis, like we paid for the thing, so we can just do it for you as well. But we'd much prefer if you do art for your character, and that'll make it easier to represent in the build and in the polls as well. Also, what'd you have to say?
I don't know if it was what you'd mention. Because also, thankfully, it has been mentioned in the Lancer builds channel exactly which builds were talked about. I imagine everyone did do it on CompCon, but if people did want to go and generate share codes for your mechs and like put them there, it would be really handy also because they're really easy to page through, a lot easier than a text document. And on the other hand, gives people a chance to page through your builds and like look through just in a nice little like format. So that'd also be a chance to post your share codes there.
Yeah, especially because it's particularly hard to talk about every little bit of thing that goes on to a license
That
or
is, yeah, because I did
frame.
notice, especially once pointed out, yeah, that is a part. Oh man, the stacking some burn, but yeah, it is just every part being built onto it. But also, yeah, if you generate the share codes, because another reason too is it will give some another on-screen element for like a stream or a video, because showing a cop on screen is going to be a lot nicer than a giant text wall.
True. Yeah, for sure. So we'll make an announcement in the Discord, and we'll hopefully get connected with the people who are succeeding. The first poll will go up tomorrow. We're actually going to make a new tab tab on the Discord, an event tab, where everyone can go and vote there. Especially for people who might not be interested in Lancer, probably might have muted the Lancer channel, which I don't blame you for.
No,
This just gives everyone the opportunity to see the builds and everything like that. And to be fair, William, I didn't say I didn't see a purpose for it because I understand the importance of the danger zone. It doesn't make sense on the Sherman because the Sherman doesn't innately have any danger zone based features. So, yeah. So what we're gonna do here, real quick, and then we're gonna end because we're way past time. Is we're gonna pick one of our choices, and we're gonna type them into the chat, and then we're gonna hit enter at the same time. I want it to be random because obviously when you're kind of pairing frame to frame, like it might seem like some frames are better than other frames in some situations. And I want this to be more of just the idea of the build. So it's better just to do random, in my opinion. And that also prevents us from saying this is my number one pick. Because I think they're all good. And I don't think I want to necessarily state, like, this is my favorite of the 5 I picked. I think they're all pretty good. So, go ahead and in Twitch or in Twitch or on YouTube, Alex, pick your first frame that we're gonna go head to head with. And when you're ready,
all right. Which one are you doing it in?
I'm doing it in YouTube, but it doesn't really matter. Both will appear on stream.
Okay.
So whenever you're ready.
All right, I am ready.
3, 2, 1, hit enter.
I don't know why I did that.
Your number 2 pick.
It's gonna be Hot Shot because I straight up got a dice and I rolled for it.
Okay. All right.
I wanted
So
to make it extra random.
Burning Wheel versus Hot Shot. Okay. All right. Very interesting. I'm excited to see that combination up. That also is pretty good because I believe Hotshot was Devin's, right? So we can get that art pretty quick. And Burning Wheel already has art, so a fire competition there. All right. I have my next pick, so whenever you're ready. This time, please type the frame name.
No.
No, only number.
Oh. I was like, I saw the 2 on my D6 and I was like, 2.
I get you. That one track ADHD brain.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready.
Oh wait. I was thinking of 2 again.
Alex, please name. We've gone too long. Alex is burning out.
It's not burning out. I forgot what we were doing. Second of shit, I rolled a 2 again. Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Okay. 3, 2, 1. Ooh, Nope versus Rupture. It's gonna be a fun one.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, wait a second. That's the same person? Spawn made both of us.
Hey, you know, It doesn't have to be against player. It doesn't have to be, against different people. Just our
I know.
picks.
I just think that's really interesting. That's all that is. I just think that's like which one of your children will win.
And thank you, Steris Macuris, for the sub. Appreciate it. All right. I have my next one whenever you're ready.
Ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Your boy versus the smell of napalm. Ooh, that's gonna be a hard one. That's gonna be a hard one for sure. I do really like
Yeah.
the smell of napalm.
It's a fun build.
But Lancaster.
Yeah.
All right, and I believe we're on to the last one. Your two that keeps fucking me up.
No, there are two.
No,
more.
there's two more. Okay, I see. All right, I got mine.
It's not gonna make sure I'm spelling it right. Ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Ooh, Hammer Time versus E-Tree. That's gonna be an interesting one. All right, which leaves, we don't even need to do anyone. It's gonna be Angry Bees
Versus Meep Meep.
versus Meep Meep. I don't know why that's so funny. Angry Bees versus Meep Meep.
It's just like two very funny names. Like two just great names for mechs. And two fun builds. Like all these builds are really fun.
Some of the pairings are definitely very interesting.
I'm excited.
For sure. So real quick, I'm going to actually let's just type this into the Lancer build. Well, actually, we can end stream and then I can just type it in there.
Yeah. It's also a non-zero chance that that's currently happening right now.
That's true. Wait, can I edit my write-up entry? So I need to add a thing my mech can do. I forgot to talk about the burn blind combo that the Chalkrete does. Sure, that's fine.
I said as long as it's not a complete rewrite, then sure.
What I would do though,
it's the specifically like it's not a change of the build. It's a talking about what the build can do.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I think that's totally cool.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Arbitrary.
Yeah. Yeah, you can edit your original like text thing, just don't change the build. The other thing that will be the bit is when you go back and generate the like a nice ComCon share code. I mean, I don't think that we're being like super strict on like if there's like a thing or two that's like lightly adapted or altered. I don't think it's that crazy. Just obviously don't submit a new mech.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, I'm sure it would be very hard to like do so advantageously, I would feel like, anyway.
Yeah, there's not much. I mean, you can't even do it. Like, there's no competitive reason to do it in the first place.
Yeah.
I mean, all the builds are good.
Yeah, they're all good, and also like art's gonna play a big factor. So
art does like just how you're gonna make your fun mech, stuff like that.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll get in contact with the people, or at the very least, I'll make an announcement saying, if you have art for your mech, go ahead and deploy it, or we'll do it for you. So tomorrow, what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a new tab on the Discord. It's gonna be called Events, and we're gonna have a link to the build, in addition to its name and a picture, so that people can go click the build, look it over, and then we'll vote using emojis. And I doubt we'll get so many votes that it will be. I mean, I guess we could try doing a Lancer poll or a poll instead. That might work better. I was gonna do like an emoji vote, but if people double up, then it just kind of nulls it out. But I guess if they null out their own vote, then I guess it really doesn't matter.
I mean, if we're crazy, like worst comes to worst, you could also just do like a straw poll.
Yeah,
like it's just a straw poll link. We'll do like literally the same thing.
We'll do emoji. We'll do an emoji poll first because I like the idea better. I think it's just funner. We can pick, unique emojis for each of our picks. And
That's true.
If that gets too wonky, then we'll just do like a straw poll and go from there. But yeah, so the builds will show up. We'll announce the winners on next week's Table Talk. And then a week after that, a new video will go live the day of the following Table Talk, where we talk about. I might even do it actually, because if we do it now, there's 5. They'll give me a couple days. It really depends. I'm really, really busy right now. It'll either be next week or the week after. I'll make a community build video where your builds will be the top 5 winner builds of the competition will be featured in a video. So I look forward to doing that. I'm glad you all participated. I hope, the voting is equally as participated in, if not more. And hopefully we get some really we get a really good banger video out of this. I can't wait to say that more of my Mex 1 analysis.
That's not gonna happen.
It is. I have a really strong feeling about Burning Wheel and Bees.
I have a very good feeling about all of my mechs. And that is sad because I like all of your mechs are great too. So it's the kind of thing of like all 10 of these mechs are just like gold.
They're all good. They're all good.
Everyone's mech was just fucking good, and then I had to go through and be like, damn, which ones of the goods are just more of my favorites?
Yeah.
Because like a lot of these were purely of just like that appeals to me, that appeals to me. Like these are like my playstyle more, and that's why I picked them.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of did the same thing, but I also picked some of the very flavorful ones because I thought they were just really great. They're all really good, and in the video as well, the runner-ups will be mentioned. So, yes. People have the opportunity to go onto the channel and check them out, and because they're all linked graciously, thanks to Dr. Arbitrary, anyone at any time can go check out these builds in the Lancer build contest, or the Lancer build channel. So, yeah. Anyway, that's gonna be it for us. I think we've talked for a little too long now. Anything you want to say before we head out, Alex?
No, if you're interested in some YouTube content, some more stuff, I do lore videos on Warhammer 40k and some Vampire the Masquerade and Lancer. I have videos on some fun facts for every single Lancer mech, which I think turned out really well. I'm gonna have a video coming out next Monday, because man, I haven't been able to speak very well until literally now. So check that out on this Monday. That'd be very much appreciated. I'm Glue Boy on YouTube. Just look me up, or I'm linked in Cam's channel. But yeah, I got some fun stuff in the works now that I'm physically capable of doing so.
Okay. Stay tuned, subscribe, follow, do whatever on any channel. I'm doing a lot of work. I'm going to be doing a lot of things for the upcoming weeks. We got some more Daggerheart content coming out. In addition, hopefully when everything settles down, I can get back to making Lancer content, because this is going to be one of the few weeks I haven't produced Lancer content. It's really funny. If you check my channel out, a lot of my recent videos have just been Lancer videos. But that's going to be changing now. It'll hopefully be a more even split. We also had the Monster Core for Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I got my early access copy, and I'll be talking about the dragons in the Monster Core coming up very soon. So stay tuned. You can also join our Discord to participate in this competition with that, voting, as well as future competitions here on the channel, as I plan on doing a lot more going forward. But that's going to be it for us. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll go ahead and say goodnight.
Good night.
Good night.